In 1999, my family visited Disneyland. We happily rode the Small World ride. I was 12 at the time and my sister was 6. We loved every moment and our parents smiled with nostalgia. At one time near the end, some lights suddenly shut off and rear lights illuminated the ceiling. The moving display parts shut off and crew members wearing red overalls walked along them to help passengers in the boats onto the stages to direct them out of the building via emergency exits. A voice came over the loudspeakers. Disneyland thanks you for your visit. Please evacuate the attraction in an orderly fashion. Keep looking forward and follow the directions of staff. Thank you. The staff wouldn't tell us much as they quickly ushered us out of the building. Ambulances were outside and a police car was parked in the main walkway. At the time, my mother still had her camera out and snapped a few photos of the crewmen and close-ups of the mechanical children. She snapped a few last-minute photos of whatever to use of the last of the roll in the film on the camera, since we were going to develop them later that afternoon anyway. This was the last photo on the reel, aimed at the ceiling of the attraction. Over the past millennium, science and medicine has advanced so far as to put miracles in the hands of men. Many of the diseases that were fatal merely 500 years ago now have cures or at least treatments thanks to the brilliant minds of man. That being so, there's still one fatal infamy humanity has yet to overcome, and that's mortality. For those devoted enough, however, there is yet a way. Located just off the east coast of North America somewhere is a shrine dating as far back as the earliest recorded civilizations. Lost to the ages now, there is but one path to this shrine, and it still sends its call, as if daring the hardiest of men to make that perilous voyage. If you find yourself in Savannah someday and you think you'd like to play your hand at immortality, simply hop into your car and continue east out of town along E. President Street and continue along it until it turns into Islands Expressway. If the forces deem you worthy, or if they're simply in the mood to watch an amusement as you throw your life away, the sky will darken with rain clouds, even if it was clear and blue only moments before, and the forest about you will seem to glow. Keep your eyes peeled and you should see a turnoff into the woods a few minutes after this happens. Now, if you're carrying a map, you'll probably notice that this path is not indicated anywhere on it, but pay that no heed. Continue along the tight and densely overgrown path at a slow pace. For if you go off the road here, you'll have no hope of ever finding your way out of this forest, and no tow truck will ever find the turnoff to come retrieve you. Simply follow the path before you, for while there are many bends, there are no turnoffs from this one. The trees will only grow denser as you progress, until the limbs scrape like fingers along the top of your vehicle. You should probably note that it would be a very bad idea to undergo this journey in a convertible. Eventually, after approximately 45 minutes to an hour of driving, you should come to a dead end where the trees tighten around you like a noose around a doomed man's neck. If you have a GPS system in your car, it will proclaim that you're about 15 miles into the Atlantic Ocean. Do not attempt to reverse at this point, for you'll find that the path is no longer there. Check your watch, or your phone, or your car's readout for the time, for regardless of the time of day, not a single ray of light will spill through these densely packed trees. If it's dark out, or if it will be dark out within the next few hours, do not open your door, and do not turn off your headlights. You may turn off your car every so often to save gas, but you'll want to crank it up again periodically to keep your battery from dying. If you let down your guard in this forest at night, you're as good as dead. If you are wise enough to start this trip early enough and it's still light out, you may exit the car at this point. You'll notice the trees around you leaning in your direction, as if peering down at you curiously. In a loud assertive voice proclaim, I'm here to claim my fate, and none here shall stand in my way. You'll hear a sound behind you. When you turn to look, you'll notice a small path that hadn't been there before. Do not hesitate, do not question it. Just simply walk purposefully forward and start down the path before you're trapped in the clearing indefinitely. The path may wind drastically depending on which way you were facing when it was created, but simply continue walking and do not look back, no matter how loud the rustling gets behind you. You'll soon find yourself ankle deep in a swamp, and you may find the sound of frogs croaking a soothing change from the forest's lively rustling. It would be most wise at this point to find the longest, thickest branch you can, for the marshes of Georgia can hide the nastiest creatures in only a foot of water, so you'll need to feel your way along like a blind man. Only about 10 yards from the forest line, The land drops off into the ocean, and unless the forces are feeling particularly cruel, you should be able to see the log poking up out of the water right away. If not, you'll need to search, and it may take a while, but once you're near it, there's no mistaking it. Walk until you feel the ground break away beneath you, then get into the water. When you're touching the log, you'll want to take in the largest lungful of breath you can manage, then dive under and swim to the bottom as quickly as you can. It will be a long swim, but do not turn around, even if you think you're about to faint. Just swim as fast as you can and keep going down, keeping a hand on the log until you come out on the other side. You'll resurface in a pond in the middle of a dark forest, much similar to the one you just exited. Only just at the edge of a pond will be an ancient building of indeterminable origin. Go inside. Fires will be lit, marking your path to the shrine of the keeper. A large statue, the likeness of the keeper, will stand at the very far wall, and at his feet will be an empty bowl. Address the keeper in a loud, confident voice, saying, "I've come very far, and all I ask for is something to drink." His response will be a single, very personal question, and he will speak it directly into your mind, so listen carefully. When he has asked his question, do not take too long to answer, and answer only in truth. Be very precise with your answer. He'll know if you're trying to hide something. Once you have answered him completely, the bowl at his feet will fill with a strange liquid. This liquid will reflect the entire rainbow spectrum of colors and will bear no scent. You must drink this liquid, or you will never leave the forest alive. Depending on whether or not the keeper liked your answer and deems you worthy, the liquid may be plain tap water or a lethal poison. If it's the latter, you'll only know once the symptoms begin to take hold. If it's the former, you'll be free to leave. The forest will part before you, showing you the exit, much like the years will part before you, leaving you alone to endure the eons. You'll see your family and loved ones die, and you'll see wars begin and end, but you will never die. You'll see the sun explode and the earth burn to a cinder, but you will never die. Only then will you know the true meaning of eternal life. You're a very disturbed young man. Did you know that? Yes, sir. And do you know what certain people do to people who murder others? It wasn't murder. They did it to themselves. I'll rephrase this. Are you aware what is done to people who cause others to come to harm? Yes, sir. And can you tell me what happens so I can be sure you really know? They gain power, sir. Well, wait, what did you say? They gain power, I told him again, raising my wooden cross. And you're not one of them. I turned the cross over and carefully moved it, controlling the silly man's arms. He began to shout how this isn't possible, about how I should stop now, and about how he was trying to help me, but I put my hand over the plush marionette's mouth to shut him up. I didn't want to have to hear his lies. I made him pick up a pencil and jab it through his eye, deep into his skull. That's better, I thought, strolling leisurely over to his fresh corpse. I took a look around the room, then back at the corpse. I knew there were security guards outside, but I thought that it was probable that I should dispose of the body before I made my escape anyways. We had been talking on separate sofas, one red, the other blue. It was raining outside, pattering heavily on the window. After a brief moment of consideration, I dragged the body over to a closet behind a waxed wooden desk and black office chair. I noticed how heavy he was, and to make this easier, I had Walker assist me. I gently lifted his body and stood him up, placing the body in the closet before pushing it shut. I did tell you that my marionette's name was Walker, didn't I? Anyways, I opened up the window and let myself out. The rain had lightened up a little, and there was nobody in sight, but that didn't mean I was in the clear yet. You see, I forgot to tell you that he was a prison psychiatrist, and that being said, you now know that I was still on prison grounds. Although I had been here for only 2 days, I already knew that the prison wall was a 40-foot high and 10-foot thick barrier of reinforced concrete. It didn't take too long to escape. All I had to do was pull some strings, you know? I'm known as Alexander Rahuen, the puppet master, and I am Walker, the puppeteer. I can remember being incredibly self-conscious about them, hiding them in my pockets, under books and bags. The kids at school never said anything to my face, but I knew they were laughing behind my back. I remember asking my parents to take me to the doctor to get them checked out. The growths on my hands seemed to be the elephant in the room back then, since they just say I was fine and changed the subject, but I knew better. I had tried to remove them as a child, but without avail. Scissors, knives, potato peelers, trying to cut or scrape them off was always a lost cause because I couldn't continue once the pain kicked in. But today was different. It's amazing how numb you can get with a couple of tourniquets and a bottle of Jack Daniels. I was originally planning to use a sharp knife, but I figured that trying to slice through the tough flesh of the growths would be too arduous in my drunken state. I opted for the slightly more technological plan B. I had to hurry, though. I was already pretty lightheaded and was starting to feel dizzy. My hands and forearms nearly blew from the lack of circulation and couldn't wait much longer either. The whirring of the blender helped to put me in sort of a trance, ready to do what I had wanted since I first looked down at my strange deformities. I shoved my left hand in first. The immediate sensation of the sharp blade slicing through the flesh was jarring, but I was surprised at how well the alcohol was working. I expected it to hurt more. I could hear the sharp metal churning and cutting, working perfectly as planned. I pressed my hand down harder, and all those bad memories, all of that embarrassment, all of those horrible things were now nothing more than a thick red pulp. Breaking from the feelings of ecstasy, I pulled out before the blades hit the knuckle. I smiled, taking a good look at my new hand. As for the growths, well, 5 down and 5 to go.